Imagine a day when the sound of gunfire echoes on a global scale, and the world stands on the brink of World War III. But if one day World War III truly erupts, what role will the United States play? Will they become the leader in safeguarding peace, or will they be drawn into the whirlpool of destruction? What will happen if they enter the fray? As the leading superpower with unparalleled influence, every decision the United States makes could shape the fate of billions of people. Let's explore this thought-provoking scenario with We Love USA. The United States has long been regarded as the world's leading military and economic power, with a vast network of allies, including NATO and key defense treaties. When mentioning the United States, everyone knows it as the world's foremost military superpower, with a massive defense budget far exceeding any other nation, and cutting-edge warfare technology. The U.S. has always maintained a strong position in every global conflict. But now, the big question arises. Will the United States continue to lead in a potential World War III, or will it choose a different approach, keeping its distance to avoid being drawn into a destructive spiral? So, will the U.S. step up to lead the war, or will it be more cautious, maintaining a distance to protect its interests without plunging into total war? This largely depends on its relationships with allies and adversaries. If a real war breaks out, dealing with other superpowers like Russia and China will require careful consideration from the U.S. We cannot ignore the new threats, such as nuclear weapons, which have the potential to devastate an entire country in seconds, or modern cyber attacks, where enemies can cause damage without firing a single bullet. Which path will the U.S. choose? Will it be the leader, or just another player in this fierce battle? That remains a big question mark. When talking about the role of the United States in international alliances, we cannot overlook NATO. However, if World War III were to break out, the U.S. would face a difficult dilemma. Will they protect their allies, or will they prioritize their own national interests? In any conflict, allied nations always place high expectations on the United States. They look to America for leadership, especially in critical matters such as defense, offensive strategies, and countering major adversaries. When facing a global-scale war, the decisions of the U.S. not only affect the country itself, but also impact the international alliances. If World War III actually occurs, the main opponents of the United States will undoubtedly be none other than major powers like Russia and China. Both of these countries are making massive investments in their military, from developing advanced weapons to cutting-edge technology. So the question arises, who will the U.S. face? Russia, China, or both? It could expand from the ground to space, and especially into cyberspace. For the United States, this means they will have to face high-tech challenges. It's not just about nuclear weapons or traditional arms anymore, but also the emergence of artificial intelligence, AI, combat robots, and even cybersecurity. Imagine a war where the enemy not only attacks on the physical battlefield, but can also take down networks, crippling critical infrastructure. The U.S. must always be prepared to face Russia and China, as the competition is not just on the battlefield, but also a fierce rivalry in technology, economy, and diplomacy, in order to maintain its leading position. In today's digital era, warfare no longer takes place solely on battlefields with guns and soldiers, but has expanded into a completely new domain, the virtual world. We are talking about cyber warfare, a new but extremely dangerous field. This is where attacks are no longer aimed at traditional military targets but at the vital systems of a nation, such as finance, energy, or even defense systems. The U.S. also faces attacks from nations and anonymous hacker groups. Particularly in cyberspace, everything happens so fast and can cause massive damage without a single bullet being fired. This is the greatest threat in the modern world. And the United States not only has to defend itself, but also lead the fight to stop enemies in the shadows, those who can strike unexpectedly without ever showing up on the traditional battlefield. And we have another battlefield that is just as important: outer space. The United States has been developing space technologies not only for exploration, but also to protect national security. Space weapons have the potential to change the course of war, and the U.S. may be the first country to lead battles in space. It will be a completely new era in the history of human warfare, where confrontations are no longer confined to the ground. So, does the United States have the ability to maintain its leadership in both cyberspace and outer space? This will be the key factor in determining victory or defeat in any global conflict. When a world war breaks out, it's not only on the battlefield but with far-reaching effects on the global economy. And the United States, as the world's largest economy, will face significant impact. The losses could stem from the disruption of global supply chains, instability in financial markets, and most notably, the heavy burden on the defense budget. But the noteworthy point here is that despite these challenges, the U.S. can still leverage its massive economic power to influence the outcome of the war. In a global confrontation, it's not just military might that determines victory, but also financial strength and the ability to control markets and international trade. Additionally, U.S. domestic politics will not remain idle when war breaks out. We will witness intense debates between political factions. One side will push for participation in the war to protect America's global standing, while the other will prioritize safeguarding domestic interests, avoiding costly involvement in the conflict. This opposition will spark significant political conflicts, and the decisions made will not only affect the U.S., but could also shift the global balance. It's also important not to forget that economic power is a crucial weapon for the U.S. In a large-scale global war, leveraging its economic strength could help the U.S. not only maintain its advantage, but also overpower its rivals on the international stage. So, what path will the U.S. choose? Any decision made will have significant consequences for the economy and politics, not only of the U.S., but of the entire world. When talking about the future of the world, it is undeniable that the decisions of the United States play a crucial role. As a global superpower, any action taken by the U.S. does not only affect the nation itself, but also has a significant impact on the entire world. If World War III were to truly happen, the biggest question would be, what will the United States do? Will they choose the path of diplomacy, negotiating to reduce the risk of war, or will they step into the conflict as a leader, holding the reins of power? Whichever direction the U.S. chooses will create a domino effect globally. If they opt for diplomacy, the world can hope for a more stable future. But if they engage in war, the confrontation will become more intense, and what we know about peace and security could change forever. Thank you all for taking the time to watch. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exciting content. There are so many more fascinating stories waiting for us ahead. See you in the next videos, and let's continue exploring more amazing things together.